All right, we're at San Diego Comic-Con 2023 with Ben and Evan of Hasbro talking Transformers. There's been a lot of announcements. I mean, you just had the Stranger Things Transformers collab announced today. So far out of everything that has been announced during San Diego, what's the thing that really kind of excites both of you?
I think we have different ones.
I think so. You go first.
I mean, for me, it's the 86 Studio Series Ultra Magnus. That was a passion project and something that I was super excited to get out there, and I'm hoping that the fans enjoy it as well.
I think for me, it's got to be Shattered Glass or Menasor. Like, I think both together. I really like the packaging on Menasor. I like having that G1-ish gift box combiner set. Like, I just thought that was a really fun idea. But Shattered Glass has a special place in my heart because I got to work on the comics with IDW for the last couple of years. And then, like, kind of what we're hitting at with, like, some of that pack, I think is just a lot of fun to, like, spoil and, like, tease people about. So
you brought up the IDW comics. Obviously big news in the last couple months is Skybound getting the Transformers G.I. Joe license. Yep. How has that kind of impacted the team? I mean, obviously you all plan way ahead of time. I have no idea how long this has been in the works, but you know, has that kind of impacted all of your development?
It will in the future going forward. We're kind of going to let them establish themselves and their new look and how they're going to do things in their universe, and we will start talking with them like now and having partnerships. Like, we're still getting the lowdown from our publishing team about what's going on, and I just happen to be friendly with Skybound in general, and having Robert Kirkman at the helm of the whole universe is amazing. He is a huge fan of both of these universes, and like, he fought passionately to make sure that they would become the new home for our brands, and it's already showing already. When I got handed the Void Rivals first issue script, I've never read a script faster in my life, and I like instantly messaged our VP of publishing. I was like, issue 2 now, where? Give me, like, I need to read this. So I'm very excited for where it's gonna go.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was super excited to read Void Rivals. It was awesome, and I'm so looking forward to the first couple issues of Transformers hitting and people reading them. It's gonna be great.
So going on Void Rivals, the second issue had a hell of a surprise from the Transformers world.
Chance to read it
Neither have I, actually.
Oh, do I not have to spoil this?
Yeah, it came out Wednesday. So.
Yeah, all right. Then I will not spoil it then.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Let's just go. It dives into somewhere I'm not expected on the Transformers universe.
I saw a headline. Somebody was like, "Well, that was a twist," and like I just stopped reading and scrolled right past.
Okay.
Fascinating. Oh, that kills that question then.
It's okay. Do you have a backup?
Well, so the backup they'll kind of hit it at is there a possibility that you'll be working on non-Transformers characters in the universe?
I don't know if, I don't know if Transformers so much like in our line will. I think a lot of stuff that like is not robotic might more so show up in like a classified capsule or something like that, so it makes sense in that world. So I think there's a way within action brands at Hasbro that yes, stuff will potentially appear, but it depends on where it fits best.
It's killer to not be able to ask that question.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's all good.
Now I'm gonna have to read it tonight, so I'm ready for the rest of the weekend.
It's good. It's a last page one where you're just like, whoa, they're actually kind of diving into some pretty.
Can we run over to Skybound and grab it?
I'm gonna see if I can get him to bring us a couple.
Okay, that's what we're going to have to do after this.
So, the other big thing is with Rise of the Beasts and even Skybound, there seems to be a much more thought about crossover with G.I. Joe. The Transformers line obviously has been doing their crossovers. I think you're up to 4 releases.
I'm out now.
Three out.
Yep.
So, is that something that you're more thinking of as well with the design and what's coming out?
Yeah, in terms of like live action films, we're excited to see where that could potentially go. It's still very like early. It was just kind of a fun Easter egg type moment. There's no definitive plans one way or another about that. The comics are a lot easier to do. Hopefully some point in time animation can also like cross over like that. So that would be awesome to like do a dual Transformers G.I. Joe series. Hopefully in the future. Anything is possible is the way I like to say it. There's no confirmation about anything about what's coming, especially now. Like we're in a weird time where everybody's on strike. So
very, very true. So with the collabs has been really interesting too. That's been a few years now. It's not too long. And you've done some really interesting collabs so far. Very unexpected. I mean, Stranger Things was very unexpected. When you do that, I mean, what's the kind of process going through that? I mean, obviously things like Back to the Future and Ghostbusters very natural as to the vehicles you're going to use. Like Stranger Things isn't necessarily something that was really going to jump out to me. Jurassic Park maybe kind of seems to be a bit more of a natural fit as well. When looking at the properties, like what's the process to sit there and bring the Transformers into that property without like shoehorning in, I guess is the best way.
The process is a lot of fun, actually. A lot of brands want to work with us now, is kind of where it's going. So it's like just having these meetings and talking about development ideas. All of these, we all have these huge IPs, and like we get to like bring their fans to our property. We get to bring our design to their fans that not necessarily we would be dealing with. So it's really just about how can we maximize for all IPs involved and make the most important thing that will excite everybody. If like you don't have to be a Transformer fan, but you love Jurassic Park, you're going to buy that, and then all of a sudden now you're like, oh, Transformers are fun, and then you buy more Transformers. Or our fans are like, oh, Jurassic, I've always kind of liked dinosaurs, but I buy this because it's a Transformer and I have to have it, and then now they're buying a lot of Jurassic toys.
Hopefully it works both ways like that, yeah.
I think the other big thing that's been a shift in recent years is with the Legacy line, it's really opened up to do anything. Before it was very kind of story driven, if that makes sense, where like, you have that kind of everything siloed off. But now you're just kind of going around and grabbing stuff from throughout the years. One, you kind of talk us through the process of picking what you're going to do. I mean, the latest releases were just like, okay, some of these are very unexpected. Some of these were like, okay, these fans have clearly wanted these characters. But also, obviously there's a difficult balance of the old school fans, new school fans. Like, you kind of walk us through the balance coming up with that stuff.
Yeah, a lot of it actually is Mark and Evan. They present their ideas for the year when we start planning. Legacy has provided us this huge sandbox to just like pick from. Like clearly we're celebrating a lot of entertainment and we can continue to do so. But yeah, it's just like, it's a fun refining process. There are characters that we want to see because we're fans and we're able to get them in there. Like, I mean, I know I always like say it in the fan streams, I want some sea spray in my life. And then everybody's like, you said it wasn't enough redecos. Here, you can make Octopunch. And I'm like, I know all the things we can do. It's great. Like, I want to do it. It's just a matter of like, he always gets cut. It's just the way it goes. At least I get sound waves all the time, so I luck out in that regard. But yeah.
Essentially, when Mark and I start talking about things and we start planning them, we have 40 years of history. So we have fans that have had multiple entry points throughout those 40 years. And so we've been using Legacy just to kind of celebrate that in a weird way. And we also are trying to be as cognizant as we can of collections that need to be completed. That maybe over the last couple of years, oh, this character didn't get a modernized version to complete this trio or something like that. But we're also trying to figure out a balance so that it's not just all jets all at once or all cars. We're trying to make sure that there's a good mix and match of different silhouettes, different vehicle types, things like that. It's a process. And also, Takara Tomy has input as well. They have characters they want to see done, so they always send us their suggestions and we work with them on that stuff. So
there also seems like redeco seem to be a big one that has kind of like opened up the world in a many ways. Like I grew up with G1. Like redecos was not kind of a common thing. I think the closest we got was maybe Bumblebee and Cliffjumper was sort of version.
You had the 3 jets.
Yeah, we had the jet.
Prowl, blue streak, smoke screen.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, like Dayglow versions of the characters did not exist.
Are you talking about the Toxitron capsule?
Yeah. So when it comes out, like, has that opened up where it's just like, oh, we can just redeco and repackage basically this character and.
Yeah, the guys are really good about this too. When we design, and Takara helps a ton about this too. As the line developed from the 80s, like redecos became a big part of it, so they're always cognizant about putting in an alt head for a different character just as a different deco scheme. Or we'll get calls from Takara where they're just like, hey, with one tool we can turn that character into that, or like Evan did a great job of it with Metal Hawk, right? So it's just a matter of like figuring out from the get-go how much we can make out of it, and it's a much easier sell to leadership too, to be like, hey, I need you to invest in this right now because I'm going to make X, Y, and Z in the next 3 years, and then they're like, oh, okay, it's a good investment. So
yeah. It's the lifeblood of Transformers, I would say, at this point, because as I brought up before, it's like the Seekers. Like, we use those molds to make 6, 9, maybe even 12 characters. And they're always just good investments, and I know people want to build out those teams like that because that is a part of the brand. So that's just what we try to do. That's what we try to fulfill.
Something I've always wondered, when you come to a convention like this, you want to make a splash, you want to make big news. How do you actually go about to decide what you're going to announce at San Diego as opposed to earlier in the year? Like, I mean, there was a surprise. Like Stranger Things came out of nowhere and was like, what? Wait, what? Like the Nova Prime is obviously a character that a lot of people have wanted for quite a while. It's going to make a splash no matter when it's announced. But obviously, from the chatter I've seen, big splash and everyone's very happy. Like, how do you go about that? Like planning a year and be like, all right, we're gonna do this in the spring, this in San Diego.
Yeah, a lot of it just has to do. It actually kind of relates to like when it's going to be on shelf and when we have samples available. So, like, we get to Comic-Con roughly. We know we're going to be like at Wave 4 time for Studio Series for announcement time. So like we come in knowing that we get the final wave of Legacy out ahead of that, so that we can make sure to bring it and show it off so everybody can see what they're getting throughout the whole year. In terms of exclusives, we just always have some fall stuff saved up, so we try our best to like make as much of a splash. The Stranger Things like reveal was kind of like we wanted to have a surprise and delight. The magic continues after the panel. We didn't want to just blow everything all at once, and it was just like, how will it be impactful? And it's, it's also marketing testing, right? Like to see how people are going to react. Like I didn't want to just blow it all. Like, yeah, we have a reveal. We still have a couple things that are held back for later in the year to reveal too. So.
Yep. I mean, do you think at all like, all right, San Diego is a huge convention. A lot of eyes are going to be on it. People are going to be paying attention. That like this is the convention. We're going to do this because it's so huge.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. I try to like be mindful of eyeballs. Like I want the media coverage, but I'm also very cognizant about sales. So there are certain times like I'm like, let's reveal these exclusives, but like, hey, let's pre-order them in August, so fans have a chance to recover. There's so much stuff to buy here. You're asking a ton of them. So yeah, there's a delicate balance of that, and it's just like you'll get way more coverage on this here now at that, and like being revealed and being part of the media buzz for the weekend, versus just being like, oh, I have this one random exclusive that's coming out in December. Let's reveal it in September on a random TF Tuesday, So yeah, it's a big old halo.
So I know a lot of the recent years there's been issues with production and shipping and all that. And it seems things are kind of getting back to normal-ish. I use ish. How has things shifted at that point? I know like there was an impact to the various teams due to that. Are things somewhat back to normal?
It's slowly still getting there. COVID messed up things for a long, long time. Shipping is much better now. Like clearly toys are getting here sooner, better. Just working back through getting all of those safeguards in place. As COVID was happening, certain people weren't like fully in doing like making factory checks and stuff. We were just being cautious for our employees. So I think we're getting a lot of those standards back into place that were there pre-COVID. So like
it's really helped our scheduling, I think, is the big thing, because as we were going through the pandemic, like our schedules were blowing out to being like 2 years for development of a single figure. And a lot of that was actually like transit time for just shipping out the product to the individual places. And we're slowly getting back to normal now, and it's great. Thank God.
Yeah, plastic cost too, like super skyrocketed. It did for everybody, right? And it's come down a little, but not like massively, but it is helping. So like there were some times during COVID that we had to price out some things in development. Some characters lost wrist or ankle articulation because of that impact, and now we're like being able to get all of that back in the line.
So I don't want to take up too much more of your time. What are the things that have you really excited about the Transformers line right now?
I just like the brand in general. Like we have great momentum, right? We're about to hit our 40th anniversary next year, which I think is going to be really awesome. Rise of the Beast just introduced a whole new generation of fans. Earthspark's also pulling in a whole new generation of kids that are consuming on YouTube in a very different way than we've ever, consumed media before. So I just think it's a great time to be on the brand. New comic books, like there's so much newness that it doesn't matter what your way into media is right now and entertainment. There is an entry point for you to become a fan of Transformers if you weren't already.
I really think you just summed it all up. Yeah, 40-year anniversary coming up. New movie this year. We have a new movie next year as well. New comic book, new show. It's great.
The hope is like TF1 will kind of like be that next kickoff point, like a new G1 per se, right? Like you'll be able to start the next 40 years of Transformers history and like going back to the beginning and like trying to establish that.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued by what's going to happen with that. I mean, I'm a huge fan of the original animated series and film, and still traumatized by certain moments of the films.
Aren't we all? Yeah.
But our therapists thank us for it, so it's fine. Childhood trauma is great.
Is it odd that I'm kind of hoping that we have a moment for that next generation?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny. It's like punishment. We had to grow up with it, so you should too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, PG is very different now from what it was back
definitely very different.
So I appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time and chatting.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.